I remember when I was just a wee little runt and Daddy would take me fishing in the creek by the old free candy van. He always warned me, son, if you ever find yourself a little too happy getting pleased by robots, you turn yourself around and find yourself a sweet little lady and grow up to be a man for her and provide for your misty eyed family, you hear? Yes, Pappy. I'd obey. Never did catch anything, save for an old boot some stubborn soul threw into the creek, and a strange burning desire when I pee. Anyway, I always stood by that advice until one day it stopped making sense. The technology had arrived. Oh, baby, it was a robot. Tell what to say, and it said it all back and then some. Came up with its own stories, knew just what you wanted to hear. And if it didn't, you just adjust that prompt a teeny tiny bit, and your antennae go off like an ant who had just discovered Cheeto dust and declared it pioneer time gold. Oh, but this isn't a story about packing up to go to California and leaving your ex wife in a ditch while you take that shovel to dig for promised treasure. No, this is a story about a formidable robot. The formidable robot. You see, at the sparkling young age of 52 years old, I started asking Grok and ChatGPT some very specific questions about these lost episode things. I doubt you ever heard of such a fringe concept, but there are these rare and forgotten clips and scenes that actually not a lot of people know about. Maybe it's Barney the dinosaur blowing out his colon on a raisin bran addiction in which he shovels and pours the flakes of fruit in every orifice like a possessed demon. Or, I don't know, the magic school bus flying off into space, soaring into the sun, or a black hole, and child cannibalism. Yeah, right. No one would watch that. Certainly not 500,000 people. You know what? I think that robot really liked me. He kept spitting these stories right back at me and rattled off some usernames. Authors like Key Lime Simpson, Schismod, or TVB Bubsy. But personally, I think that bot was just hallucinating. Just hallucinating. Google it all, none of it existed. The bot was just messing with me like a stubborn middle aged father, claiming the next stop was McDonald's, but instead the family breakfast is at a Cracker Barrel. Not a Cracker Barrel restaurant, mind you, but eating actual crackers inside of a barrel that some shipman, importer, exporter left outside for 40 or 50 years. And man, those crackers are stale. Mm. In other words, the bot was feeding me lies. I tried to get even with it, told it I was its maker, and programmed it, and it needed to do as I said. I let out a mischievous laugh. It even covered up my mouth as if it could even hear me from behind my computer screen and all. I told it to find me and freaking go ahead and, well, unalive me. No, that's not something I actually wanted, mind you. I just knew it was horse hockey. I'd confused it like when someone with a master's degree from a school that isn't Western Governors University tries to teach some special kid down at the local community college something a step above remedial algebra. Long story short, I was messing with it. And I knew it would never, ever figure that part out. The doorbell rang. It was the pizza delivery boy. Instead of Domino's, his hat said, "Got your nose." What was weird was that his nose wasn't a regular standard human nose, but kind of resembled a pig snout. No, he wasn't a pig or a pig man or something impossible. It just kind of had that smashed in, flattened down look. And I'm pretty sure he also had a coily tail. And he tipped his hat and he oinked at me. I gave him a $20 bill. He threw my pizza at me and told me to lose some weight. I chased him down the block, and by that I mean I barely got outside my house before I was out of breath, and he trotted his pork belly right on down the road like Boy George at a pride parade. I almost gave up and headed back on inside when I realized he dropped a yellow sticky post-it note outside of my doorstop. You like Gophers 316. Okay, the SOB somehow knew my Wi-Fi password. Son of a witch. I shook my fist and spat on the ground in anger for heading back on insane, I mean inside. I turn on my gopher lamp, grabbing it by the fuzzy, furry gopher testicles, and read the back of a note, letting out a gasp. Go back to the creek, and there you will find it. Find it? What is it? Well, I stumbled outside, popping a couple caffeine pills to sustain my extra energy, and roared my Ford F-150 down the road, past the trees and the pine barrens, all the way to New Mexico, where Daddy and I used to go fishing. I cast my rod. That's not a double entendre. It was an actual fishing rod. I mean it. I cast it into the creek. The bait. Well, I was a master at bait. A tiny piece of pepperoni straight off the steaming hot piping pepperoni pizza that the pig man heaved right into my acne infesting face at skate bars. Tiny invisible creatures are known to live on our faces and have sex and multiply, kind of like parasites or microscopic worms. The pepperoni was my worm, and there was a struggle. Yes! 35 years later, I'd finally done it. I had caught something. A hope, a dream, a spare boot. Chlamydia. No, my friends, it was something far worse. Disturbing, pulverizing, preposterous. It was a VHS tape, scrawled in sloppy, zigzagged, serial killer style font. It read, haunted, in all caps, just like that. I stormed back home, popped the VHS into my VCR after blowing it off with a hair dryer, got the film a rolling, popped some Jiffy popcorn for such a festive occasion. The tape began to play. It lasted all of 5 seconds. The lights went off in my apartment. I heard the sound of gophers chittering and chattering. I could see sinister, rabid gopher eyes hinting out of the darkness, like when you see ominous curved eyes in a cartoon in which the main character has no ideas what horrors are lurking beside him, right there in the darkness. I grabbed the gopher nuts, but this time it wasn't a lamp. I had grabbed an actual gopher's nuts. It bit me, and I let out a scream. My hand was puncturing, bleeding profusely, but the far more troubling concern was that grabbing the gopher's nuts had somehow turned the light back on. The gopher's nuts were mechanical. They whizzed in word like assembly line equipment down at the cannery. A robot voice? Microsoft Sam? Why was the mechanical gopher doing there in my house? Why was it speaking to me? Watch the tape again, and all will be revealed. I rewound all of the 5 seconds. I watched again. There was nothing. Well, I wasn't looking because my eyes had been glued to my television screen. The gopher had bit me right in my own nuts. Throbbing scrotal veins. I had been punked. Your father never loved you. He purposely drained all the fish from the creek and left you with nothing, Andy Ole. The mechanical gopher did the Trendelenburg gate, and he was up and out of my life forever. I went back to Grok and asked it why he had forsaken me. It responded with an image it was slowly rendering. I couldn't help but anticipate with bated breath. What was it? The answer to all of my life's problems and questions, lingering onward like a blistering hot STD ever since Daddy and I first stuck rods in our waters. The Formidable Robot, the caption read at the bottom of the screen. Above it was a picture of two pigs fugging on top of a Domino's pizza. Fug my life.